All right. Here we have our handy-dandy standard blank character sheet. This is the 3-page one that's provided. If you want access to that, you can look on the home page for the channel, and it'll have a list of commands, and one of those is going to be !! char sheet, and that'll take you to the link that has the zip folder with all of that in there. All right. Dice roller is ready to go. As always, 2d10 to determine race and subrace. Let's program that in here. 2d10. Oh, actually, let's reset this first. There we go. 2d10. Roll. 3 and an 8. Next is going to be the gender of the character, and if it's a multi-classed character. 1 to 45 is female, 46 to 90 is male, and 91 to 100 is a multi-class character, and then we'll roll again. 57. Alright, so this is going to be a male. Alignment is going to be 2D100. And speaking of commands, oh, hey Nikki, what's up, main? That's it, main. There's a command where you can roll a 1D100 yourself. In this case, I got a 33, or a 1D20. I might end up adding some other ones. This is in the experimental phase of me possibly running something with you all in the audience. And otherwise, it's just good fun. I think you can roll once every, I think I have it set for a minute. And it doesn't cost any experience to do. It's just a fun dice roller. Yep, there we go. And don't forget !deck to draw a card from the deck of many things. It does cost some experience to do. And you can also duel other people in chat if you're feeling a little feisty. Alright. 2D100. Roll them. 98 and 86. Ooh, this is evil. Ho-ho. Chaotic evil. This is, this could get pretty interesting. Chaotic evil characters are forces to be reckoned with. Not necessarily because they're stronger, but they have such strong determination with these, you know, Antarctic. Yeah, they're very cold. Anarchic. Why am I derping on this? Anarchists. You know, they have this anarchy within them. I do what I want to do at any point in time. I have my own goals and motivations. Doesn't mean that, you know, in this case doesn't mean that he's crazy. He's just going to do what he's going to do, and the ends justify the means. And the means might even change on a whim. Okay. Level is going to be a percentile, which is 1 percentile, and 88. We might have created a good villain for whatever these characters, this town, something turns into. This is going to be a something here. Okay. Next, we have the question of whether feats exist on this character or not. There, this will be a little easier. That's answered also with a percentile roll. 20. No feat. No feats, plural. Then our class is going to be a D12. Right down here. 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whoo. Sorcerer. Maybe we did find a that magical stranger that has come into the town from yesterday. What? I'm derping on the name. I can bring it up. And odds or evens, because sorcerers have 2 backgrounds they can take, or not backgrounds, subclasses, archetypes. In this case, I think it's called like their sorcerer's heritage. Odds, it'll be the first, and the first for a sorcerer is the Draconic Bloodline. What is our race here? 3 is going to be a halfling. Even is going to be a stout halfling sorcerer. Our base rate or our base height, we don't have a rate of weight gain just yet. That'll be on the next one. Our base height is going to start at 2'7", and we're going to add 2d4 to that. Another 5 inches, so this halfling, chaotic evil halfling sorcerer, is tickling 3 foot even. We take that 5, multiply it by 1 pound, add it to the base weight of 35, and he's coming in at a mighty 40 pounds. 40 pounds of fury. Next, we're going to roll his age. Here we have halflings. We do a percentile. 95. Okay, so we're talking venerable. Venerable for halflings here is 250. So we have a life spread, because remember we're using, that's highlighting everything. Over in the right-hand side is a comparative column for you to use. You have experience, presumably, as a human being. Which ages would each of these strata fit? Between 20, 250. We're probably looking at... I'd say a 25-sided die. And we will subtract this from venerable. Actually, maybe 20. That's a little bit narrower than a dwarf here. So we'll just use the 1d20 roll. 11 years away from being at the cusp of, between venerable and old, because you're not really guaranteed to live naturally much longer than that. 239. No wonder he's such a high-level character. Nikki says, I can't get over the image of a midget sorcerer. Maybe people have made fun of him for his height, and so that's kind of made him snap, or something in his old age. Maybe, let's check out his background. That'll help, sort things out. Though, right now, he could be anything. Well, within some of the definitions above. A D13 down here in the custom slot to determine background. Let's roll it. 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is an Outlander. Ooh. And don't forget, Nikki, here we have a halfling, but this halfling has Draconic heritage of some kind. As an Outlander, we need to determine which kind of Outlander with a D10 roll before getting into the standard array that each of the backgrounds shares, which is 2 personality traits, rolling a D8, then 3 6s for their ideals, their bond, and their flaw. Outlander, we'll just put 10 as a placeholder. 2 8s that we will indicate here. Roll 2d8. There we go, come on. 4 and 7. 4 and 7. Then we have 3d6. 6, 3, 2. And 2. Inspiration, we start with a 1. As usual, 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8. As a name usually comes towards the end, I'm using this as a placeholder because we're going to take those numbers and draw them down into the ability scores. We're going to fidget with the character, get it up to its level 15 status, and then we can apply the modifiers after they've changed. Nikki says, I'm still a noob to this, so I'm just staying to follow. Follow along. If you have a question, maybe I skipped over something, or if, just because I've explained it before in other streams, or in past streams, doesn't mean I won't go over it again. This is a learning channel. This is a conversation that we're sharing between each other. If you don't know the difference between intelligence and wisdom, you can ask. If you don't know why I'm doing something, please feel free to ask, and I'll be happy to explain it to you. This is like D&D 101. I can't really give you I really can't give you a certificate of completion, but I can give you some entertainment. Memory lapse. Hey, good to see you back. Memory says, it must be a chaotic evil knight. Decided to random roll a character a little while ago and also got a chaotic evil. You'll have to, as this Halfling Sorcerer takes shape, you'll have to compare notes here and determine what ended up manifesting for you through random character creation. All right, this is going to put away our rando chart here. Yep, everything seems to be good there. Let's minimize this, and here is our PHB. We'll make it a little bit bigger here for you all. Whoop. Was the cat getting sick? Yep, I guess so. Cats. I start by filling in the background first, and I do that because in random generation, or even if you're generating a character at home, while it comes later in the book, a background will provide you certain proficiencies, certain skills, tools, and even some starting money. If we take that first, then we can go back to the race and check for any proficiencies, languages and whatever, and then also fill in the class on top of that. That way we're not being redundant. If you end up taking a background that gives you athletics and your class gives you athletics, it's less things to maybe compete, or you can see what you can take off the table to open up all of the other options your class might give you otherwise. Memory rolled up, so a chaotic evil Hill Dwarf Ranger with the urchin background. Oh, he must have had a rough childhood then, carrying all that bitterness with him, or her. Those are found here in in customization options. Oh, nope, sorry, that was feat. We rolled a feat character last night. I had that in mind. Charlatan. A little bit further, these are listed alphabetically. Outlander. Outlander 10. Option 10 down here in Origin. What is the origin of you being an Outlander? A tribal marauder. Ooh. You know what? This was similar to the Outlander character we rolled last time. I wonder... Marauder. I wonder if we can weave a story between these two characters then. Because if you remember, the other character was very ancient and getting on in life as well. And depending on how this one turns out, maybe we can draw a conflict between the two. Where our prior random two characters we found a link between was more of a story of kind of a Romeo-Juliet, like a star-crossed lovers. You know, there was romance, a little bit of action. What if this then becomes a the hunt and the hunted? There's no real romance here between the elderly female tiefling here and the elderly male halfling. It is just a story of determination, and both of them are facing the end soon. Who can duke it out? Who can last the longest between the two? Yeah, Bobicus. Grace was as Bobicus brought up. Grace was the character I was referring to, and we're gonna check out the other aspects here. We do get a feature of being a wanderer. Again, I am just placing an asterisk as a bullet point, and I'm listing the characteristics because, especially with this level 15 character, we're going to have a lot of them. So these, when I find a way to make them available for you all, you can just go back and find out what they are. You can read it specifically. You know, if there's a level 1 character, we could type everything out because it'll just be a couple lines, and there's no competition for the space. His first personality trait is a 4. I have a lesson for every situation drawn from observing nature. That almost sounds like a weak overcomes the strong overcomes the weak. 7. I feel far more comfortable around animals than people. Yeah, so maybe he's getting into the primal savagery, or maybe he's a part of the Draconic bloodline. So maybe at some point in time that blood began stirring. He became a little bit more feral and aggressive, and these latent tendencies. Maybe he's been fighting them his whole life. He wasn't always evil like this, but these tendencies they kept coming up and coming up until finally, due to old age, or he just gave in willingly, he snapped, right, and he converted over and accepted this, like almost like a ghost of a dragon that's living within him. Memory says actually she to be gender proper. Oh yeah, I didn't see if there was an indication of that. So, Bobicus. So the way I like to do alignment for low-level characters, respectively, is good or evil translates to selfish or unselfish, and lawful and chaotic is principled and unprincipled. That is a more refined way of defining that axis. I do like that. Bobicus continues, for higher level characters, it's what plane you draw power from and which you work to make manifest in the material plane, and that becomes important. I could see that if you're playing in a world where there are multiple planes or some sort of an equivalent, that's a good way of being able to extrapolate a character, to give the character over time. Nikki, sounds very pagan, being based around nature and animals. Yeah. In 5th edition, there's not clear-cut lines between the classes. Yes, we're making a sorcerer here, and this is arcane magic, yet we seem to be building a character that is in tune with nature. So it's an overlay, right? If we're making a Venn diagram, right? So you have your two distinct things, and then you can overlay them. That's a Venn diagram. Is almost druidic in flavor, and depending, if you rolled this character with a DM, talk to your DM about it too. Ideals, we rolled a 6. Glory. I must earn glory in battle for myself and my clan. Ooh-hoo. I think we might have Grace's Conqueror. I think it was brought up maybe a Hobgoblin was the one leading the ogres. Though maybe it's going to be this halfling that ends up doing it. And then we can do a storytelling session weaving the two together. What is his bond? Number 3 says, I will bring terrible wrath down on... Ho-ho! So, the bond is actually going to be the same as hers. Though, I think we can still work with this. It's not going to be the bond between the two characters like it was for the prior two, but this is still something that I think we can work with. Maybe we incorporate this in an eye for an eye type story. I'll bring terrible wrath down on the evildoer. Ooh, evildoers. And of course, that's evildoers to him. You know, that's depending on the perspective. On the evildoers who destroyed my homeland. Or this bond, if we want to go with the angle that it's this draconic blood that's waking up inside of him, you know, giving him these great powers and these impulses. The level 1 Halfling Sorcerer we rolled could have been bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, lawful good for all we know. And then we have this process. So maybe this bond is actually the Blood's bond. And it's this old, rancorous ghost living within him. And this dragon remembers when its lair was destroyed. Maybe in a way we can even say that the personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws aren't even what the halfling started with. Because if you're playing in a campaign in D&D, you should have personal growth and character development. There should be points, in my opinion, that your DM should offer you an alignment shift of some kind, maybe to change your ideals or your bonds after every so often, or if something big or traumatic happens. Now we have flaws, too. Oh, geez. There's no room for caution in a life lived to the fullest. He shares the same bonds and flaws as Grace. What if for some reason this villain actually won over Grace, and in some way, through consumption or sacrifice, or, you know, kind of like a soul absorption, right? He's an evil sorcerer. Kind of Shang Tsung'd her, right? And so he carries this, and so their bonds are aligning that way too. These are things to think about. You know, stew on them in chat. You can throw out your own suggestions, maybe something I'm not thinking of. But when we're randomly pulling characters out, I think we can weave tales very easily together. And yeah, you know, every character is going to be their own individual broadcast. But in the grand link, when all these characters are made available, we can use them as threads and weave together a tale. Bobika says, could she be the source of his sorcerer power? Perhaps. In fact, we can explore what the Draconic bloodline is and see if we can work that into it. Alright, before we leave, we are going to become proficient in athletics and survival. One type of musical instrument. So as we're listening to this kind of like tribal music, or, you know, this is kind of Outlander music, you could say, or as we develop this character's personality more, think about what kind of an instrument someone like this would be playing. Languages. Common. Not current. Common, Halfling, and one other. We gave Giant to Hope, so if we do want to go with that angle, that could be something. And we get a little bit of equipment, which will go down here. We can put quarterstaff. Hunting trap. Some kind of a trophy from an animal, or he's evil animal, so it could be a humanoid. You know, it was sentient. Took an ear, a hand, or a tooth, or I don't know, the eyes or something. Traveler's clothes. Belt pouch with 10 gold inside of it. Or Grace, I'm sorry. Yeah. Grace, yeah, being a tiefling, she could speak Infernal. Now let's pop back up to races. Humans. And where's our happy little halfling? I think we passed by. Come on, happy halfling. She's playing on a lute. Looks really... There we go. Names. Dex score is going to increase. We're going to put a note down here that'll increase by 2. And because this is a stout halfling, con goes up by 1. Base speed is 25. Gets a few traits here of lucky, brave, halfling, nimbleness. That definitely serves when you're out in the wild. And especially for stout, not only do we get the con score increase, there is stout resilience, which is advantage on saving throws against poison. Remember, advantage is roll 2d20, keep the highest. Disadvantage then is roll 2d20, keep the lowest. And you have resistance against poison damage, so you take half rounded down. Stout resilience. Finally, we come down to classes, where it is alphabetical. Whoops. Rogue, Sorcerer. Now, let me take a quick aside. Sorcerers differ from wizards. I think many of us are familiar with wizards, right? You have the spell book, you're really smart, and you do things with your spells. Sorcerers are different because their magic is intrinsic. You cast off your charisma, which isn't just a winning smile. It is your presence, how you project yourself to the world. And because your magic is inborn to you, you're casting through that presence in the world. Hey Havoc, sorry, I've been into narration here. Welcome, thank you for joining us again and chatting. Sorcerer tonight, yes, in fact, it is a stout halfling sorcerer, chaotic evil, and we rolled high. Look at this, 15th level. This is going to be very interesting, and he shares some similar traits with our tiefling from last night. This means that we might be able to find a way to weave the two characters together and create a conflict. Voker. Welcome, Voker. And you say, so you know about D&D Beyond and how WotC have all their official content in one place online. How much would you think access for all that stuff through the compendium would be worth? You can, well, so for 5th edition, they did something similar but different to 4th. With 4th, you could subscribe to the service, and as books came out, you could get into a character builder software. There's, for DMs, you could build monsters, and it was really easy to adjust because things were kind of built on a scale. To get fully into D&D Beyond, at this point, it's, you know, it would be a couple $100 investment if you wanted to get into it. Though Wizards opens it up so you can share those resources with friends. If you and a gaming group all had, you know, 25, 30, I guess depending on how big it is, or if you wanted to talk to your friendly local game store who might be willing to sponsor it for you, you know, speaking as a store owner, you know, I've had discussions like that. Everyone chips in $30. Everyone has access to all the books electronically, and then it's up to you to decide, you know, was $30 worth the worth access to everything. You know, that said too, you want to be careful about who holds the reins of the account, because, you know, gaming groups come and go. There can be new people added or people leave under various circumstances. Hopefully that addresses what you're getting to, Voker. All right, let's continue. We'll do spells here in a little bit. This is going to be a D6. They're ultimately going to have 15 D6 because it's a 15th level character. But that will hold the place for us. No armor proficiencies, because you're usually wearing cloth or some sort of a magical shield around you. Daggers, darts, slings, quarter staffs, and light crossbows. Saving throws. Con and Chaw. Now, compared to Outlander, which gave us 2 skills, there's not going to be any overlay or any overlapping in this case, which is fine. It's a little bit more diverse of a character. We get to choose 2 from Arcana, Deception, Insight, Intimidation, Persuasion, and Religion. So now the skills can feed off of the personality that we are developing for this randomized character. Goes after glory. You know, the main, our main source of power is going to be charisma. This person has a lesson for every situation drawn from observing nature. That would indicate wisdom, and or intelligence. I feel far more comfortable around animals than people. That would be pointing to wisdom as well, right? Something like animal handling. Although that's not an option. That's not an option here. But thinking broadly, must earn glory in battle for myself and my clan. That can be attributed to a physical trait like dex or strength. Although glory itself could be expressed through charisma, which we're going to make him a charismatic halfling anyway. I'll bring terrible wrath on the evildoers, and again, this is an evildoer in this character's, in his own opinion. Or as we kind of tickle the idea, right? He has draconic blood. Maybe he started off as his own person, and as he got older, now he's at the end of his life, this draconic blood woke up. And so this is the ancestries, old ghosts of the past that are guiding his actions now. Well, I'm glad you're finding it interesting. This is storytelling. All of these, while I'm working on screen with a character sheet and a PDF copy of the player's handbook, you should just be able to lay back and enjoy the process, the thoughts, everything that's happening. Memory Lapse is offering Intimidation. I think Intimidation would be a feature for a character like this. I do like Intimidation. And you all in chat, you can offer your own ideas, opinions, throw questions out there. Say, oh, well, even if you don't know exactly what we've done before, throw something out there to continue. That part of randomness, or even just this alternative perspective, all helps to forge a strong character with a strong backstory. Let's see, what else? So this is an Outlander, someone who has knowledge. We said int and wisdom could serve in this case. Might not be the most... What if then we go with... We already have a strength, we have a chaw, and a whiz. Sometimes this is where we hit a bit of a speed bump. For right now, let's make a decision, right? If we're watching Bob Ross, he says you got to have a bravery test. Let's throw something in there and see what we can work with. We're going to go with, if he doesn't need to deceive because he's around animals a lot. In that case, we can go with a knowledge skill. Unfortunately, memory investigation is not available to us by default. Dragon blood. We can go in this case. There is, just because you don't cast in a traditional, wizardly fashion, doesn't mean you shouldn't still be aware of the mystic forces that exist out there. And if some of you out there have a better argument, hey, throw it out there. All right. This person is going to get a lot here. At least starting equipment, light crossbow and 20 bolts, or a simple weapon. Let's go light crossbow. A component pouch or an arcane focus. I see this character as having an arcane focus. So sort of how clerics and druids have a focus, right? You concentrate on something and then your spells manifest off of a crystal, an orb, some kind of a holy symbol. There's a bit of a difference between a component pouch that has all your powders and spider legs and crushed leaves and everything, and a focus that you have, like a totem of some kind that you can, concentrate your power and put through. Oh yeah, it doesn't have to be dragon blood in a in that sense, Bob, because you are correct. Bobik has brought up, read the sorcerer's selection. These are just ways that we can consider why could someone be this old chaotic evil force. They have a so-called draconic bloodline. It doesn't indicate that they are dragons themselves, but it's something to offer. Yeah. Because again, characters can grow, characters can fall, characters can be redeemed, or characters just, that's their nature, that's how they are. A Dungeoneer's pack or an Explorer's pack? Well, if this person... Earning glory... No room for caution... Dungeoneer's pack has like a hammer and some rope in it. An Explorer's pack is more for some overland. There's not that much of a difference between the two. Let's give him an Explorer's Pack. Yeah, the randomness determined it to be so it takes the prediction out of things. Yeah, Bobicus, Explorers, I would agree with you there. And dagger times 2. No, times 23. Huh. We'll get to all that. We have now we have a list of features for a 15th level character. If you want me to slow down and read any of these for you individually, let me know. Right now, I'm making a list, so if one sounds cool, or if you think, oh, I had a character like that before, but it was a while ago, what does that do again? I'll stop and read it for you. Memory lapse. It's like, from Trigun, the character, she had all the one-shot, like, derringers under her cape. It wasn't Millie. Wow, who was it? If any of you in chat knows what I'm talking about, that's the image that came to my mind. Font of Magic. Metamagic. And we are going to actually get 3 Metamagic abilities, because as we read, you start with 2 and you gain another one at 10th. He'll get his last at 17th. So if he can make it that long, he'll be really interesting. Coming up, Phonomatic, Metamagic, ability score. We will get an origin feature, ability score improvement, another Metamagic, ability score, and a sorceress origin. Okay. His features are going to be slightly flat, and I think that's going to make up for all of the options you get as a character front-loaded here. Wild. Our other... The last sorcerer we rolled was a wild magic. Dwarf, actually, named Madman Mim. Very interesting. Oh. Hi, Nisa. Welcome to the party. Your innate magic comes from Draconic magic that was mingled in your blood. Okay, Dragon Ancestor. Oh, yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We actually had this... Ma'am, hi. Well, hopefully you all are enjoying that as well. Oh, we had... that was for Dragonborns here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's roll a d10 and find out what is coursing through this halfling's body. Whoop, that's a 2. Derp, derp. There we go. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Copper. Copper acid. In addition to this other language, Draconic is also known. You may make a charisma check when interacting with dragons. Your proficiency bonus is doubled if it applies to the check. Draconic resilience. Whoop, EN. Causes physical traits of your dragon ancestors to emerge at first level. Your hit point maximum increases by 1 and increases by 1 again. This is going to be a tough guy. This is a stout halfling even, so there's already going to be a stat bump in there for con. When you aren't wearing armor, your AC equals 13 plus your dex. (13 plus dex), because you probably aren't going to be wearing armor. Elemental affinity. You can add your charisma modifier to that damage. Okay. And that was going to be acid. So our powers are going to revolve around acidic things if we can help it. And, ooh, goodness. That's right, you get Dragon Wings at 14th level. You gain the ability to sprout a pair of dragon wings from your back, gaining a flying speed equal to your current speed. You can create these wings as a bonus action on your turn. They last until you dismiss them as a bonus action on your turn. You can't manifest your wings while wearing armor unless the armor is made to accommodate them. And clothing not made to accommodate your wings might be destroyed when you manifest them. Oh, Bobicus, yeah, Marilyn Trigun, thank you. Yeah, she had that thing where, she'd kind of jump to the side and her cape would flare out and she'd, one shot, one shot, one shot, one shot. One last thing here. Proficiency bonus right now is at a +5. And there are 15 spell points with which to work. We'll make notes of it up here. 15 spell points. 6 cantrips. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Again, I'm reading off of the 15th level line here. Ooh. Well, alright, you get the idea. The highlights being a little wonky. With 14 spells known, split up among the tiers that we have access to. 4, 3, 3, 3. 4, 3, 3. 3, 2, 1, 1, 1. Almost to 9th level magic. And then again, and you heard this from me, but you didn't hear this from me. There is a layer of magic called 10th level spells. You only get access to 10th level spells if you do stuff like buy your DM a pizza. Just saying. Hey, no. That's my USB cord. Thank you. Spellcasting is going to be charisma. And then we'll calculate the rest. We need to put in stats now. We're going to start with our level 1 stats, and then we're going to boost them through the level up process. I think it will be very important to start with a high charisma, especially because there's not a racial bump intrinsically to it. So we'll put our 15 here. Constitution and dexterity are going to be important. Our Constitution, we can probably put our 13 here because that's going to become a 14 because of the racial modifier. Which means we could probably put our 14 here. And that is going to leave us with our 12, 8, and 10. We did take Arcana as intelligence, so it would be good to have at least some kind of a modifier to accent the proficiency in it. If we do that, our 12 is going to go in intelligence. We have an Outlander who does want to try, kind of gets along with animals and lives out in the wild. So wisdom should at least be neutral, meaning that our dump stat for this character is going to be strength at an 8. That said, there's proficiency in the athletics skill, so he might be mechanically weak by his score, but if he needs to do a feat of strength, we can flavor this in different ways. Maybe he just has what a lot of the guys around my shop call old man strength. Like you just have this well of reserves that are just coming out of nowhere. You can push the car off the kid, kind of a thing. Or it could be, when he's really challenged, he may look like an old frail halfling, but he kind of hulks out a bit. Maybe he gets some Draconic features, and when he does something athletic, that aspect comes out, sort of like flashes out a little bit. You get the power of the dragon behind your push or your jump or whatever, and then it can settle back down. That's going to go up to a 16, and that's going to be fine because Dex is an int. Dex is an attack and a defensive stat, which will work out. All right. One ability score improvement. 2. We get our 3rd at 12th. And he is just tickling getting a 4th, because it's every 4 levels here. When we're not considering feats, because this character, we didn't randomly roll for feats. When you do an ability score adjustment, you can increase 1 score by 2 or 2 scores by 1 with a natural cap at 20. Magic items or spells, that kind of a thing, might be able to take you over depending on the descriptor, but you as a mortal being of some kind hits that 20 naturally. Our first one, arguably our second one too, should be put in charisma, going to a 19. And then we can split the last one. Now, nothing else here is odd. So that would prepare something else on the next level to share that +1 bump, or just to go up +2, something along those lines. So with our 3rd and final ability score adjustment, we're going to put 1 point in charisma, maxing out at 20, and we can bump up something else. Maybe at this point, dexterity. If you all have suggestions for that otherwise, please, you feel free to share it. Actually, Memory Lapse just commented, I would say intelligence needs a bump. Intelligence could use a bump, yeah. Maybe to help Arcana or something along those lines. That's fine. I'm willing to entertain that. And it has a good justifiable reason behind it, too. And we're still staying within the mechanics of the game. Cool. That was used up, so we don't have that note anymore. Coming down, this is a -1 ability score. +3. +2. +1. +0. And our chaotic evil creature with a winning smile gets a +5. All right. With these numbers now, we can take our ability scores, feed our ability modifiers, and then we take our ability modifiers and we transfer them over into our saves and our skills, adding our proficiency if needed. And our proficiency up here is a +5. -1. +3. Constitution's 2 +5, so a +7. +1 for intelligence. +0 for wisdom. And a 5 +5 is a 10 for charisma. If I recall correctly, that would offer a resistance to a lot of mind control spells, since things like charm tends to charm the person, whereas an illusion, if you want to make something look blue and you want to look through that blue haze or whatever, that's more of an intelligence save. Broadly, every spell is going to be different. Acrobatics is Dex. So with this number in mind, at a +3, let's look at our other Dex-based skills, which coming down is going to be Sleight of Hand with a +3, and Stealth with a +3. Pardon me. Animal Handling is Wisdom, which gets a 0. Insight is going to get a 0. Medicine is also going to get a 0. You know, why learn how to fix people if you're just in the business of breaking them? Perception. And Survival we do have proficiency in, so that's going to get a +5 straight up. Next we have Arcana, which is intelligence. 1 plus proficiency is going to be a 6. History is a 1. Investigation is a 1. +1. +1. Excellent. Athletics is the only strength-based one. So we have a -1 from our ability, but we do have proficiency, so that's going to be a +4. And then lastly, our Chaw is a +5. 5 + 5 is 10 intimidation. You know, you weaken someone up with a couple sorcery spells, and they might want to listen to you when you grit your teeth and say, get out of here. Or, you know, whatever he ends up doing. Performance and persuasion. There we go. Our passive wisdom is 10 plus our perception bonus, which is going to be... Oh, I keep looking at persuasion. 10. Oop, 1 equals. We're setting up commands now. Initiative. There we go. Armor class 13 plus Dex, because we have this this hardened like this bulky body of a dragon, or we can even say that he might still have his skin, but what if it's a layer of scales just underneath it, so that the top layer of skin is it's not opaque, it's semi-transparent, right? And maybe if you catch him in the sun, he actually has a slight gleam to his body. Like, you know, people have like, oh, a golden tan. Well, it's copper. But in this case, maybe there's like this coppery tan or this slightly metallic glow when light hits his body. Dex was 3, so this is going to be a 16. Constitution modifiers 2, so at first level, this, not 12, that is not a fighter. That's going to be 6 plus 2 is 8, plus the other levels, 14, and I do half plus 1 for my hit points. It makes it easy. It is a constant, you know, it's something you don't have to worry about. You could make a big, I think I've said this before, you could make a big, you know, Kronk the Barbarian. You're like, yeah, I'm going to be this meat slab, and I'm going to take damage and dish it out. I get these massive D12s for hit points, and then you have 3 levels of rolling 1s and 2s. And suddenly Kronk isn't as Kronkish as he or she could be. So doing half plus 1 is it's a good consistent way to keep your characters advancing, and the hit points are still in your player's favor. A Wild Delcorin appears. Welcome, Wild Delcorin. Bobicus chooses the command of run. Delcorin rolls a 4. Oh, well. Yep. There's no escape on that roll. So half plus 1 of a d6 is 4. So we do a little bit of math. Dun, 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 dun. Six. And 8 is going to put it at 54. Okay. No combat right now. No temporary hit point buff spells up right now. And 15d6 of innate healing is available to our non-battle weary halfling. Our attack bonus is going to be dex based with a light crossbow and a dagger. The staff, I do not believe, is a finesse weapon, so that will be a little bit lower. I'll have to double check on that. But I believe being an Outlander and they give you a staff. You get quarter staffs as a sorcerer. Okay, so you'll still be proficient with it, but you might need to use strength. I'll get to that in a second here. I want to make sure that if I'm narrating to you all, we're having a conversation, we're talking back and forth, that I'm giving it to you straight here. Anyway, easy ones, ranged weapon. We have 3 plus proficiency is a +8. Daggers are going to be the same. Memory says it's a finesse weapon. I can see that, especially because monks use quarterstaffs as well, and they are not traditionally built on a strength chassis. 1d4 plus our dex mod. Piercing. Oh, versatile, not finesse. If that's the case, and I'll check here. Versatile means that you can use it one-handed, or you can use it two-handed for a bonus. Thank you for double checking on that memory lapse. Yeah, if you're scrolling ahead, that doesn't mean I have to. I do so here. Oh, Bob just shared a link. Thank you. Oh, the cat is being a cat. Light crossbow is 1d8 piercing. I was thinking it might have been a d6, but I think that's a short bow, not a light crossbow. +3 piercing. And a quarterstaff is versatile for rolling a d8 then. So this would be a strength-based weapon, meaning that we would get a, if we were to wield it, we would get a d4. Yeah, don't worry about that memory. There's a lot of qualifiers, a lot of terminology. It happens sometimes. That's why I still want to make these characters with you all, and I'm repeating myself. I want to make sure I have the source open, and we're checking it together. You could play for 25 years, and still something escapes your mind, or you get a wire crossed somewhere. Yeah, Bobicus, that's... the ears aren't as big, but that's kind of a good representation of her. Although it looks like she's happily perched on a far up box off to the side. So our quarterstaff is 1d6 minus 1 bludgeoning. Versatile d8. There we go. So you're probably doing a lot more walking with it, or to put, if this person's really good at intimidation, there could be like an animal skull on top, right? Or you get like a Rafiki staff and it has little gourds or something. Nothing special melee or shooty combat wise. You get 1 attack around if you really want to bonk something instead of cast a spell. Now that we have a feel for who this person is, we've developed a lot, skills, abilities, we need to choose... come on now. We need to choose what kind of metamagic is manifesting in this character's sorceress abilities. And we have a couple different options. Here we go. Memory says, and if you do use it for battle, you might as well use it two-handed to take advantage of the 1d8. Yeah, it's not like you're going to have a shield anyway, right? So if you hit, you might as well try and hit for more damage. Especially because hitting is applying a -1. Because you're not swinging it as hard as you might be able to. At least it's not a heavy weapon. If it was, then, being a small race, he would get disadvantage on the attack roll. So that would be super unfortunate. Roll twice, keep the lowest, and you're getting a negative modifier to your damage. Hi, Big Break. Welcome. We're putting the finishing touches on the first part of this chaotic, evil, high-level Halfling Sorcerer. Okay, so keeping his personality in mind, we're throwing out some story ideas. Maybe the Draconic heritage is literal in the sense that there was a dragon ancestor somewhere along the line, or he was infused with dragon blood, or magic affected it, and maybe this dragon's awakening inside, right? Because he can sprout the wings. He has this natural armor that can manifest. We rolled Outlander, And so despite being a sorcerer and not having a good strength score, he is proficient in athletics, and we could flavor that as the dragon inside of him is waking up to help shove aside a boulder or a log in the road. Pardon. So Metamagic allows us to use our sorcery points in different ways. I'm going to go through them quickly, and let's figure out, based on his personality, which 3 Metamagic, they used to be Metamagic feats, I almost want to keep saying Metamagic feats, he would have that are intrinsic to him. Obviously, if you're creating this character at home and you're deliberate and you're not doing random creation, you can pick and choose. We can to an extent here, but I would like to, in the fairness of the boundaries of randomness, make sure that we're building the Metamagic to him instead of the other way around. So, he can cast a Careful spell. When you cast a spell that forces other creatures to make a saving throw, you can protect some of those creatures from the spell's full force. To do so, you spend 1 sorcery point and choose a number of those creatures up to your Charisma modifier. A chosen creature automatically succeeds at a saving throw against the spell. So that's, you can carve holes in your fireball if you don't want to hit your party members. Distance spell. When you cast a spell that has a range of 5 feet or greater, you can spend 1 sorcery point to double the range of the spell. When you cast a spell that has the range of touch, you can spend 1 sorcery point to make the range of the spell 30 feet. Empowered. When you roll damage for a spell, you can spend 1 sorcery point to re-roll a number of the damage die equal up to your Charisma modifier. In this case, up to 5 of the damage die you can re-roll with this. You can use Empowered spell even if you have already used a different Metamagic option during the casting of the spell. So that's a nice twofer right there. Bobicus, yeah, probably not Careful spell if he doesn't really care about the people that he's trying to conquer. Because even, we're going chaotic evil. Even his own troops are expendable. What else? Extended spell. When you cast a spell that has a duration of 1 minute or longer, you can spend 1 sorcery point to double its duration to a maximum duration of 24 hours. You would use that on buff spells like Mage Armor or maybe some ability enhancing spells. That way you're getting more use out of those spells for a longer period of time. Heightened spell. When you cast a spell that forces a creature to make a saving throw to resist its effects, you can spend 3 sorcery points to give 1 targeted spell disadvantage on its first saving throw made against it. Yes, 3 can be expensive, especially at the start, but if you think about some of the spells out there that, they could ruin a character quickly. Polymorph. Some sort of a domination spell. Right? You only need to lose that save once, and you're in trouble as the enemy of the spellcaster. Quicken spell. When you cast a spell that has a casting time of 1 action, you can spend 2 sorcery points to change the casting time to 1 bonus action for this casting. Subtle. When you cast a spell, you can spend 1 sorcery point to cast it without any somatic, which are magic finger wiggles. Or verbal components. So you don't need to be like Genie and wiggle your nose, nor do you need to speak magic words. However, you do need a focus, a component, or a material component if the spell calls for it normally. Twin spell. When you cast a spell that targets only 1 creature and doesn't have a range of self, you can spend a number of sorcery points equal to the spell's level to target a second creature within range with the same spell. So you can get a 2-for-1 fireball if he took fireball, let's say. Big Break confirms, yeah, Chaotic Evil, they don't care for other party members. Memory brings up rerolling damage dice and the lucky trait for being a halfling, which is a reroll, itself. It's quite a 1-2 punch. Yeah, if we're going for maximum damage, right, we have a very aggressive, selfish halfling who wants to conquer, who's been out in the wilds and is proving himself out in the wilds, is maybe succumbing to this, yes, Metallics are traditionally good. So I don't know. I think we can still work with that in some case. Or he's just giving into the primalness or the savagery, as dragons would have a different sense of morals than other beings. Empowered spell, quicken spell, twin spell. All about blasting and getting in the face. So Bobicus does want maximum damage spells, quicken spells, so that we're pumping things out more quickly, and twin spell, so you can get a 2-for-1 if you really want to start blowing your sorcery points. But then again, if you're not, what are you saving them for, right? If you put down the goblins that are attacking you, hopefully there's not another wave behind them. But if you attack and kill first, and this person's probably not above killing a bunch of goblins or whatever, so what? Blow your sorcery points. They're no longer around to harm you. Rest and get some back. All right. I'm going to use Bobicus' suggestion. If any of you want to suggest something different, hey, let's bring it up, weave it into the story, discuss it. If we replace something, we replace something. If not, I think this is a solid set. Empowered spell. Quickened spell. And twinned spell. Whoop. Come on, fingers. I moved my keyboard a bit because one of the cats was on the desk, so I'm typing kind of at an angle, unless I move this. Big Break says, yes, destruction. Maybe not in that voice. But when I did it and you heard that, you could apply that, because that's it was just text. See, that's the power of imagination and storytelling. Here, Big Break is just, yes, destruction. Cool. Remember, I prefer milestones, so I'm going to put NA for experience. At some point in time, we're going to need a name. We could go by Halfling conventions. We could go by Dragon conventions. He's a person who lives in the wild, so maybe he never really gave his name out, but he goes by a name that is given to him by others who have succumbed to his wrath, or rather survived instead of succumbing to his wrath. We're all high-pitched because he's a half... Oh. I thought we were referring for you. But yeah, so he'd get the higher, like, yes, destruction! Plotting, using a somatic component, like he's getting his spell ready, right? He's focusing the energy, he's working it, and then, boom! There it goes. And we'll need some superficial traits, which can be modified by his Draconic heritage, blood, heritage, whatever. Hair, skin, and eyes, and we'll get to that. But now we get to play in a really cool playground. For you see, we get 14 spells known on the Sorcerer list. And here... Well, that's spilling over a bit into Ranger because of how this is set up, but Sorcerer spells here come over to this middle column, and then finally over more to the right. This is what Sorcerers get. In the PHB, there are other mods and books that do expand spell selection. We're just sticking to the core right now. You know what, Memory Lapse? You brought up a very good idea when you shared that. I might be able to spend some time on the back end and create commands that describe these various things that exist. And that way, if one of you wants to reference something, all you'd have to do is type in !lucky, as you did. And the automatic chat will spit back what that feature does. That'll take some copying and pasting, but that we could make that a medium-term project for the channel. For all of you who are watching, is that something would you use that? Or because I don't want to waste my time or yours. If I spend 10 hours uploading commands or feats or spells or something into the bot, would you use that as reference? Or do you think that's not necessarily something that's needed, or would be fun, like the little dice roller and the deck of many things and the dueling that we have available right now? Big Break says, all I know is he's got to know Cloud Kill. Probably. Cloud Kill is amazing. It's a giant, slow-moving, boulder of poison gas. Memory, that'd be a cool idea, actually, being as D&D 101 channel is, yeah, okay. The rest of you, please, give me your opinion. Even if you're lurking and haven't said anything yet, you could say hi or just say yes or something along those lines. Your input is valuable because this channel is meant for people to just lurk, jam out, listen to stories, come along. And, you may not want to talk to other people for whatever reason, but inputting a bot command isn't, inputting a bot command itself isn't really a bad thing. Bacon, Delcorin, do you want that to be a command? Not hashtag, but exclamation point bacon. Alright, so we get 6 cantrips here. What would an evil Draconic Heritage Sorcerer Halfling have as cantrips? Probably Acid Splash, because there's going to be an intrinsic bonus because it's acid damage, and that shares the Draconic Heritage. That one seems kind of easy. Delcorin says, I'm lurking, and you said to say something in chat, so I said bacon. Got it. Yeah, hey, you know what? Bacon, though, is itself an attention getter. I mean, I'm a big guy, too, so you say bacon, and whoop. We also have Blade Ward. It's defensive. Chill Touch, which is necromancy. Dancing Lights, to create lights. Halflings do not have dark vision, and that was not granted itself by the Draconic Heritage. Firebolt, Friends, Light, Mage Hand, Mending, Message, Minor Illusion, Poison Spray, Prestidigitation, Ray of Frost, Shocking Grasp, and True Strike. Part of me says, well, he's going all out violent, but we have to keep in mind too that if he's living in the wild, especially because he's chaotic evil, he might have people who serve him, but do they really like him or will support him without the use of force? He should have a little survivability or utility spells built into this. I don't think he really needs mending because he doesn't wear armor, and he's kind of a loner. So, was he going to fix his party members' stuff? So maybe we can go... Minor Illusion could be good. Prestidigitation can do a lot of little things. Fire, lightning damage, cold damage, poison damage. I would say 2 utility spells. I was thinking at least 2 memory that are utility. He can start fires that are built with prestidigitation because that allows the production of a small flame, right? You turn, now your thumb's a lighter kind of a thing. So I don't think he needs Firebolt, especially if he wants to be in the wild and be around animals. Animals don't always appreciate fire. He needs it for light and it can be warmth, but there's still some practicalities to not wanting to have the forest erupt in fire around you. Clouds are by nature chaotic. Yes. No, I agree with you, Big Break. He has acid. Acid is a different type than poison. He himself is resistant to poison. So maybe in that sense, maybe he'd take poison spray as it wouldn't affect him. Although we should probably get a single target spell in here. Let's put in Ray of Frost. I can see that as being useful. Same as Chill Touch, which isn't it isn't the same as a Ray of Frost, despite the chilly wording to it. The idea of Poison Breath falls in line with the Draconic background. Well, you know what? We still have one left, and we have some utility built in. Poison Spray would be kind of like a breath weapon attack. So, we can check it out. Let's get something a little bit more maybe arcane sounding happening here. No, we're going to do this one. There we go. Okay. So we have our 6 cantrips. Now we get 14 spells to spread out among all of these. I would recommend starting high and going lower because you get way more options in lower levels. For instance, the suggestion came up to use... no, where is our... Cloud Kill. So, you know, that would be 5th level, and we have 2 spell slots. It doesn't mean we can only know 2 spells. There's nothing that would prevent us from taking every 8th level spell. It's just that we can only cast 1. So if we have a lot, we can't reduce down the spells, but we can oftentimes bump up the power of lower level spells to fill higher level spell slots. Memory says cloud and lightning or thunder damage style spell mixed with acid damage. It would give him great versatility in his damage types. So he can still oppress or affect or rout or raise or whatever he's trying to do. So yeah, you know, you come across some dwarves that are resisting you and they have resistance to poison. He'd have a backup in this case. So 1 will indulge. We have a lot of spells here, so you guys can throw out some spells you think would be neat. We can look up the specific spells too. If you're like, oh, that one sounds really cool, but what does it do? Cloud Kill was a 5th level. 8th, Dominate Monster, Earthquake, Incendiary Cloud, Power Word Stun, and Sunburst. He likes hanging out with animals. Dominate Monster would mean that he could conquer the mind of an animal, but of like a monster or a beast even, and use that to his advantage. That could be a powerful one. I know there's an Incendiary Cloud, and we're talking in chat that clouds can be chaotic, though you know we have a cloud spell also before that can I think be bumped up. What if he took Dominate Monster? I'll throw it in there for right now, and if you have a better suggestion, let me know. Dominate Monster. Delayed Blast Fireball, so it's sort of like setting a trap. Etherealness, it's good for defensive. Finger of Death, Firestorm, Plane Shift, Prismatic Spray, Reverse Gravity, and Teleport. Acid Rain, Thunderstorm, Theme Spellcaster. You know, poison, acid, that kind of stuff. I'm kind of getting a feel in 7th level. Prismatic Spray is good. It's battle magic, but it's good utility battle magic because it can do a host of effects in an AoE. And again, if you're chaotic evil, you might not have a lot of friends backing you up, so you need to control the battlefield as best you can. 6th level, Arcane Gate, Chain Lightning, Circle of Death, Disintegrate, Eye Bite, Globe of Invulnerability, Mass Suggestion, Move Earth, Sunbeam, and True Seeing. Mass Suggestion could work, right? If you got to get minions working for you. Though we're making sort of a general build, while he only gets 1 6th level spell slot, maybe here we consider, well, let's give him 2 6th level spells and he can choose which one he wants to use for the day if he doesn't want to take the second one and bump it up to a 7 or an 8. Thunderwave. Okay, we're working back that way. Mass Suggestion is kind of defensive utility. Now we can go... Chain Lightning to get a little bit of AoE and lightning damage out in this character. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of our 14. So we still have a lot left. Now let's work back. Any other 5th level spells? Look at the list. Animate Objects, Cloud Kill. We took that. Cone of Cold. Creation, Dominate Person, Hold Monster. Insect Plague, Seeming, Telekinesis, Teleportation Circle, and Wall of Stone. We have Cloud Kill as offensive. Maybe thinking Dominate Person, because Dominate Monsters is the more powerful effect of that. Like the base power of that, you can do more with it. Some cold damage, okay. Yeah, maybe we could do Cone of Cold in that case. 4th level spells. Banishment, Blight, Confusion, Dimension Door, or D-Door as a lot of people call it. Dominate Beast. That might be a good one. I kind of like that. Dominate Beast. Which is different than Dominate Monster. Again, kind of on an intrinsic power level scale. Dominate Beast. Greater Invisibility, Ice Storm, Polymorph, Stone Skin, Wall of Fire. What if, since he's a sorcerer and has a more natural command of magic, that he breathes his spells out, or the spell effect emanates out of his mouth? Yeah, that's a cosmetic thing we can do. I've done similar things, or similar accommodations like that for my players, where they say, look, mechanically everything's the same. And yes, the spell has a verbal, somatic, and material component, but the way that I cast it, I'm still speaking through my mouth. And if it's somatic, I have to like wiggle my tongue in a certain way, or my facial muscles will, like I have to smile as I'm casting, or frown, or something. As long as if I could normally prevent you from casting the spells in some way by grappling you, let's say, right? Because if you're just whatever average sorcerer, average wizard, and I bear hug you with a barbarian, you will not be able to make somatic expressions. In this case, if I made this exception, yes, we flavored it that he's casting out of his mouth and the spells are coming out as dragon breath, though we would still either have to suspend disbelief or come up with some way to explain why a bear-hugged sorcerer won't just completely like cone of cold the person hugging him in the face with his dragon breath. That way, it's the meeting in the middle, right? I'm giving you the flavor you want, but you're also acquiescing to the mechanics that I expect in combat situations. We could switch one Cone of Cold for Ice Storm. Okay, we could suggest that. I'll fill in a little bit. Maybe we can come back to that memory. So yeah, big break. It's all about communication and negotiation. Some people just say, look, play it out of the book and do that. You, though, if you're coming to your DM as a player and saying, I'd like an exception, you have to be a negotiating partner. And same with your DM, you should be willing to negotiate something. Because presumably your player wants this for a reason, for a good reason, not just to try and pull one over on you. But whatever the conditions for the campaign or, a house rule or something still have to exist despite that. Our Metamagic was pretty fierce up here. twin spell, quicken spell, and empowered spell. So maximum damage dice, and we can split our single targets also to kind of get an AoE effect. Like, I'm sure he still has, like, he has AoE still, and that's fine, but being able to split that could work. I think polymorph would be really powerful, because in that case, he could take out, if all of you in chat here were forming a party and going against him, and I could take 2 of you out by turning you into a frog or a sheep or something, that's a good portion of your party gone. And especially if I took out maybe your healer or, your frontline fighter or barbarian, who I know would wreck me as a sorcerer. All of a sudden, they're not removed from battle, because you can get around polymorph, but there's a greater chance of affecting them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 6 more spells between 3 levels. 3rd level, Blink, Clairvoyance, Counterspell, Daylight, Dispel Magic, Fear, Fireball, Fly, Gaseous Form, Haste, Hypnotic Pattern, Lightning Bolt, Major Image, Protection from Energy, Sleet Storm, Slow, Stinking Cloud, Tongues, Water Breathing, and Water Walk. We did give him an int score, and he has Arcana. Sleet Storm creates kind of an AoE cylinder of difficult terrain, so it can hamper flying enemies. But being a magic caster himself, especially if we're building for this like kind of quasi-solo, chaotic evil character, I don't know if that's really necessary, especially if he can throw cones upwards as well. Dispel Magic can be very intimidating, right? Because we build him on Charisma and Intimidation. You, as a magic user of some kind, come out and you say, "Aha, evildoer, you've fallen into my trap." And even if we go with what Big Break said, and he's casting out of his mouth, the little sorcerer comes up and kind of gives like an evil smile, and suddenly, almost like the Beholder's anti-magic cone comes out, and he's dispelling your buffs and everything that's in front of you. All right, G. Second level spells now. We have this Draconic, Sorcerer, Halfling. Very powerful, can increase damage dice, can cast things more quickly. I'm thinking something here. What can we do? Doesn't really need utility like knock. Maybe something like hold person, because then he can hold 2 people. And that's either to get away or to go in for some sort of coup de grace against them. And I don't think we have... I actually don't think we have a fire yet, so why don't we do Scorching Ray. That's a single target spell that can then be twinned, and he can get a 2 for off of that as well. Gust of Wind, oh, you know what? Actually, I like that, because he can now have the dragon wings come out, and so thematically he claps his wings together in front of him, and a Gust of Wind can push people over. Because there's not really wind damage per se, But it might do force damage. I forget offhand. But thematically, I think it fits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So now we can get 3 more spells somewhere in here. And we're down to our level 1s unless we go back and fill in something else. Burning Hands, Charm Person, Chromatic Orb, Color Spray, Comp Languages, Detect Magic, Disguise Self. Expeditious Retreat, False Life, which does give him temp hit points, but he kind of has hit points. Featherfall, Fog Cloud, Jump, Mage Armor. That could be important. Whoops. That is a good utility spell. Come on. Here's a good one. So, Magic Missile. Force damage. Not a lot of things resist it. And I think they even deliberately say you can shape the missiles to look like what you want. So he could be shooting like little dragon-shaped beams. Or they could look like even like dragon fangs or something out. And that's also single target. So he could possibly split that too. Oh, and Thunderwave. That was brought up earlier as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 14 spells. Yep. So yeah, Gust of Wind can knock people prone, and we were talking about Thunderwave. So that's thunder damage that can be included as well. So here we go. Spell save is 8 plus proficiency plus modifier. So that's 13 plus another 5. Spell save is 18. And the spell attack bonus is a plus 10. Very offensive. Well, probably offensive and offensive character here. Cool. So we have our note there, spellcasting, that's intrinsic there. All right. Let us get the last little bits of info on this character, and then we'll take a break. And it's already 1, so we'll take a break and come back, and we can either develop a storyline a little bit more, have a Q&A. I can't go until like 3 or 4 again tonight. As of right now, it's 12:50. So coming back from the break, we can spend maybe about another hour together, and we'll go from there. So I'm looking for a name of some kind for this character. Eyes, not just the color, but do they have slitted pupils like dragony cat or whatever? Do they have a particular shape? Are they rounder? Are they sunken? Are they dark? Are they almond shaped? Skin isn't just color, but it could be qualities. Maybe he has scaled skin, or maybe maybe as part of this he's bald. Right? Dragons don't have hair, and especially because he's really old too. Maybe he just doesn't have hair anywhere on his body. Or we might even be able to put that under hair itself. We could just say none. And then in parentheses like anywhere. Right? Because even like his eyebrows fall out because dragons don't have eyebrows or nose hairs or whatever. 18 is a hard DC to beat, yes. Yep. But he's built, he's built to damage and to do things. That's kind of what limits, as a sorcerer here, especially because he's concentrated on being as destructive as possible. It is going to be tough to beat that. Here's our character. If any of you here are new in chat, this is what we're looking at. A very old male halfling. Chaotic evil sorcerer that is of the Draconic bloodline, who's lived out in the wilds. He's focused on conquering, on glory. He's going for there's no room for caution in a life lived to the fullest, so he's doing what he wants to do. Unless you all object, I think we're going to go with this route, where he's going to be bald. Like, as in, no hair at all. skin. Did you all like that idea where he has barely visible scales underneath his normal skin that might glow in bright light? Almost like, not to a mechanical like fairy fire effect, but you know, there's just like it provides like a warmth or like a radiance about him. Copper scales under thin aged skin. In fact, what if we're thinking about plot and storyline, what if he thinks there might be a way, because this is manifesting, when he dies, it's really just his halfling shell that dies, and he will, like, the dragon him will emerge from this halfling cocoon. And so he's, maybe, this would make him a good villain, right? He's making preparations for this to happen, and maybe magically influencing it too, or, you know, he's looking into some kind of, like a controlled reincarnation spell as a backup, or something along those lines, where he is convinced through lunacy, senility, or just selfish malice intent that he's just a husk for this dragon that's going to be reborn into the world, and so he needs to keep it safe, and that's what's making him so like aggressive and selfish, and he wants to control the territory around him. And he could have learned that when his if we go up into his personality traits, when his own homeland was attacked, and he's like, oh, I almost died. Oh no, well, I carry the blood, I have to keep it safe, and that then became over time a singular focus, and he became obsessed with it, and that's what was driving him to this kind of madness. Memory lapse, that'd be cool, or maybe, yeah, maybe they're barely starting to go through the skin, so it's almost confirming that, where some of his like old wrinkled thin skin, he gets a cut from something, and the skin isn't really healing. It's not dead, but it's not healing, and underneath is some copper scales. Eyes. Slitted pupils. Copper. Green would naturally go with copper because that's the oxidation color of it. Though something that stands out that might still... He has the slitted pupils of a dragon, but something that would still give him that last like remnant of who he was as a halfling. You know, it was at some point in time, he was a kid playing with other kids, you know, going out to the pumpkin patch, fishing, doing all these other, you know, lighthearted things before this occurred. So maybe his irises are violet colored, like a nice soft violet, but he has these sharp slitted pupils, as these features have just been taking him over in his life cycle. Okay, last up. One of you wants to throw out a name? Could be anything. I mean, probably not anything, because that'd be a little silly. And this isn't necessarily a silly character, as open-minded as I am to his name being anything. What's popping out at you at this stage? He could have a traditional halfling name. He could go for a draconic name, because if that aspect is taking over, a blend of both. You could just kind of pull up a name generator if you wanted, or does he just remind you of some syllables that you want to put together, and he's oh geez, something. But let's give him a name and go on break. What do you got? We'll have a couple more things. I'll tell you all what. I am going to have to get up here. We'll just save him right now as a... no, you can keep commenting, Delcorin, and I can come back and fill it in. What I'm going to do is... We're going to pause here, and I'm going to go to the short rest screen. You can use this time, if you don't have to get up, use the restroom, or, you know, drink, or whatever, to... offer something in chat, and when I come back in about 7-ish minutes or so, we'll wrap it up with a discussion. Maybe we can do some more thinking exercises and story creation. Okay?